going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Sunday night. Usually you go, Matty, wait. You guys are doing a pay-per-view, but there was no pay-per-view tonight. You're right. God damn it, because AEW does theirs on Saturday like a real company should. But I am, of course, not alone. I've got the rest of the Suplex crew here. I have a sleeping child next to me, or I would be on screen. But that's okay. We'll introduce the man at the top corner tonight. He is the PAYNEMAKER.
Yo, what's up, guys? I'm going to say Saturday night was fire. That's all I'm going to say. It was fire.
Yes, it was. And then he is the myth, the man, the legend. He is the evil one, Mr. Evil Dose.
What's up, everyone? I'm having trouble with my speaking today. Looking forward to talking about this pay-per-view. It was a good one.
Yes, it was. And then he is stuffing his face, but he is the best that ever is and the best that ever was, Mr. JB3. Don't choke.
That's what he said. No, hey, what's going on? Hey, ready to talk about some wrestling? My background setting will change in the beginning of the show for just a bit, but I know y'all don't care. It's all good.
Nope. And then it would not be a trip through Suplex City without the man that runs Villain Enterprises. He is the villain himself, Mr. Haven.
Hey, what's up, dudes? Yeah, man, we got the team back together again, and we're going to be talking about a pay-per-view that was not too bad, not bad at all. They hit it out the park, man. I can't wait to jump into this like a morning of Christmas, trying to get to those presents.
Ooh, I was gonna say it's like we're gonna drop into that like a bottle, like a big hit of mimosa. Oh, yep, I went there. So first up on the buy-in, we had the NWA title being defended by Serena Deeb and Allison Kay. PAYNEMAKER, what did you think of these ladies kicking off the show?
This was the perfect match to actually kick off the show because it definitely helped set the tone to what we were going to get at Full Gear. Luckily, and also commentary. I think normally on most times when they're always trying to give you a lot of information on wrestlers, it sometimes distracts you in the match. But luckily, it didn't distract me. I mean, they just gave down the basics to where they said Allison Kay and Serena Deeb were partners, team partners in the indie runs, having won some team championships together. So it definitely helped lay down to that both these women do know each other. They know exactly what to expect. And the fact that they have chemistry in the ring. So that definitely said a lot to me that we were going to get a great match. And this was definitely one of my favorite. This was definitely a good technically sound match.
Yeah, it definitely was. And on the buy-in, I said it was opening the show. I guess I should be a little bit more clear. It was on the buy-in, which means, people are going to be cruising around YouTube, go, oh, what's this? And see wrestling and go, well, maybe I'll give this a shot. Let me go over to BR Live and pay for it. This was the like you said, it was definitely technical sound. We all kind of knew Serena Deeb was going to win, considering she just won the title. Thunder Rosa came out to, continue that feud. I really enjoyed it. Villain, what were you thinking of these two women getting it on, as Mills Lane would say?
Oh, this was great, man. This was a good match. I'm happy that both of these ladies got a chance to shine, because I haven't seen Allison Kay since her TNA days when she was Serena. I used to watch her there. She has a great look. She's tall. She's got good stature. So it made it look like, kind of a David and Goliath match. Even the ref was shorter than her, man. So I was like, damn, she's a big girl. And, she's a free agent. They kept nailing that on the head that she's a free agent. So I hope AEW, gives her a contract, because if they don't, sneaky up north will probably send her some shit. So, yeah, man, this was a great match, man. It was a good match. I was kind of like, I was like, damn, they're only having one match in the buy-in. They usually have 2, 3. But yeah, this was a good match. Great storytelling in the ring. And, we all knew who was going to win, but, the way they got there from bell to bell was worth watching.
Yes, sir. All right. And Dose, what do you think of these two?
thought it was a good match, very solid. I don't really care if AEW signs Allison Kay or not. I don't think she adds much to the division. I don't think they need her. She probably needs them. That aside, it went exactly as we expected. Being on the pre-show, it sort of gave away the ending of the match itself, but the swerve, which I believe I predicted a version of the swerve, or at least in one possible universe, but the swerve was good. And I think it's exciting that Thunder Rosa will appear on AEW television again. Looks like she's still involved with NWA. I guess that's confirmed. So, I'm curious. I'm more curious as to whether this relationship is only regarding the NWA women's title and nothing else. But no, it was a good match. It was a fine start. I said it's the pre-show, but it doesn't actually get you anything. But that aside, it was fine. It was a good start.
Alrighty then. Let's move into the first match of the night on the actual show. It was Hangman Adam Page taking on Kenny Omega.
I think
It's all good.
And this,
I think you missed JB3, bro.
It's all gravy. It's all gravy. Let's just keep it moving because I agreed with everybody. Just
Okay,
It's spiraling.
all right. Well then, Mr. JB3, why don't you tell us what you thought of the World Title Eliminator Tournament Final? What do you think of that?
I thought that it was a great match, as expected from the two.
I think he's still spiraling on my screen. I don't think he's in the feed.
No, he's on mine.
If we can, as long as we
He's
can
on
hear
mine.
him, I think we're good.
No, he's good on my end.
See and hear him.
Yeah, we're good. So,
I
anyway,
can't.
all good. What this reminds me of, and I hope that we get something similar, is the first meeting between Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa in the tournament, first round of the Cruiserweight Classic. They had a death feud, and they were a tag team. But in that match, it was like a face-for-face, brother versus brother type deal. Now, I know it was a little bit different with Kenny because there's some animosity. They lost. Kenny doesn't want to be a tag team no more. So there was something there, but they played it off like, in my opinion, like they weren't like hating each other. They didn't hate each other. They just wrestled, and they left a lot of that stuff out when it comes to as far as like blood feuds. It was more of a traditional wrestling bout in a tournament style, where you just get matched up against someone and that's just who you wrestle. So I'm excited for the future. This was a very, very great match, especially I know it's not their first encounter. They wrestled in other promotions before, especially during the whole Bullet Club thing. But like, honestly, this has the potential to be a solid trilogy. I think we could see 2 more big matches out of these guys, whether it be for the title or not. I think at least one of them should be for the title. I think that we should get a situation where Hangman wins both of the other matches. That's just me wishing, and it could be later on, however it turns out to be. But I did get a very, very good vibe of future implications of a really, really deep feud. So that's what I'm excited for.
All right, Villain, what do you think?
Yeah, the one thing I'm gonna say is that some of the storylines were kind of muffled going into this pay-per-view. I don't know what happened. I hope they start cleaning that up because it's just kind of like, especially for this pay-per-view, it seemed like they kind of rushed everything to get here. So the storylines were kind of weird for some of these because this could have been told a little better going into the match. But besides the point, the match was fire. The match was good. When Hangman first got signed, I was never really sold on him yet, because he was always in like a trio tag team match, when he was in Japan. And I didn't really see too much of him in ROH. I think he was a television champion. I think he might have had that one time. So I was kind of always hard on him, but he's proved himself, man. Like, this guy to me will be like the most improved wrestler of the year if we were doing some kind of vote like that, because from the beginning of AEW start to now, and he's pulling off good matches with great people, and I could just see him getting better and better. So I would like to see them grapple a couple more times, man, But yeah, this match was fucking hella good, bro. Oh, first curse word of the night. All right,
Ooh,
pass it
shit.
to. We're gonna pass it to PC Payne over there. I guess he's next.
There you go.
Guess that's my new name now, PC Pain.
Yeah, yeah.
But
We
no,
don't cuss, don't do shit.
honestly, JV3, you stole my analogy for what I was going to use with Kenny and Hangman. The fact that this was similar like Gargano and Ciampa at the Cruiserweight Classic. While most tag teams, whenever they break up, we always expect that one of them's going to go, one of them's going to be heel, one's going to be face. I like that with AEW, they're treating as if at Kenny, he's going more of he's trying to give himself a harder edge to his character. And of course, it was kind of muddled after All Out that he may have turned heel, but it looked like through every time he was on commentary, it was just like, no, clean break. I'm just done. I want to be a singles wrestler again. But even during this match, even though he was showing some respect to Hangman Page, it was clear that he was out to win by all, and he was gonna play, and he was gonna win his way. Because instances in this match, you see Hangman always trying to do like buckshot lariats, or when he was trying to ever do dead eyes, you can tell Kenny, having been a teammate of his, scouted him out very well, unlike Hangman, who was pretty much trying to do his normal tricks. And, the only time he ever did get a one-up on Kenny was whenever they were outside. But other than that, this match showed Kenny is not just the more experienced wrestler, but he truly is, like, storytelling-wise and the more dominant wrestler. And I think it's going to help set up Hangman to want to fight harder, to when he wants to get serious. And like as JV3 said, we can see a trio of matches out of these men, where Kenny can say to Hangman, "I beat you at my best. You, on the other hand, you may have been at the bar drinking whiskey all day." Then it could have probably light a fire under Hangman. So then they face each other the second time. We might see something new. But other than that, this match was great. I liked how there was no shenanigans involved. It was pretty much just two men trying to get the W to want to beat each other, trying to prove who is the best.
Okay. Dose, what do you think?
Because of my lag, I'm going to keep things as short as humanly possible. I thought this was a spectacular match. I think everything was great about it. We pretty much knew who was going to win. It went the way we pretty much expected, but it was still a great match, great opening match. They opened hot, and excited to see if Kenny gets his title, and that shuts up the internet for a while. I think that's where we're going, if not before Revolution, by Revolution.
Okay. One, I like the fact that the whole time back and forth, they knew each other's moveset. They were going to work on it. Like when Kenny went to hit the Falcon Arrow, Hangman did everything in his power. As he's even pulling him in, grabbing his head, he's actually still hitting Kenny, trying to avoid that one-winged angel.
Oh yeah.
I absolutely love the third time Hangman tried to slam Kenny into the guardrail. Kenny actually jumped over the guardrail onto the stair rail and did the backflip off. That was fantastic.
Fire.
That was fantastic. Hangman came out swinging for the fences. I too agree. We could see this as a multiple run event. I think maybe they'll have another match before Revolution, since Kenny is the number one contender at Revolution. Here's my little bit of a fantasy booking. He's going to beat Mox for the title, but he's going to go full heel cleaner Kenny Omega. We've seen more of the progression there. When he came out to the ring, he even had a similar, like the one-winged angel jacket on. So we're getting there. He'll beat Mox for the title, and then he'll probably beat Hangman with the title, and then at another pay-per-view down the line, he'll win. So that's that run. This undoubtedly, Dave Meltzer's already jizzed in his pants. He's already given it, I bet, the 5-star rating.
His pay don't count.
Let's move on to, in my opinion, a match that was so much better than I thought it was going to be. We got Mr. Orange Cassidy taking on number 4, John Silver of the Dark Order. We have a Orange Cassidy mark in our midst, so he can go first. PAYNEMAKER, what did you think?
This match, honestly, it had. I'm not gonna go around the bush here. This had a lot of this had no expectation going in, from what I can tell, because it was put together very quickly. I mean, it was originally going to be on the buy-in, then it got moved up. So I think both Silver and Orange Cassidy had to put on a good show, and it did not disappoint. With Silver, he played pretty much the main. He played the role of the maniac very well in this match. He's just overpowering Cassidy, showboating, gloating, pretty much almost to the point where he was overdoing almost any move that he had just to put out Cassidy. And if we all follow BTE with his character, how he's always trying to impress Brody Lee, or he's being the pretty much the dark horse of the group, like he's the chump of the group. But in this match, we see him outside of Reynolds, just the one-handed gorilla press, him able to just flip Cassidy like he was a goddamn pancake, or be able to hold Cassidy down. I mean, Cassidy literally is taller than him, and the fact he's able to carry Cassidy as if he's nothing but just like I don't know, like he's 5 pounds, like he's a 5-pound weight, is incredible. And even with Cassidy, I love how he doesn't really get that serious until midway into the match. But then the last 2 minutes, they are just trading moves back and forth, out reversing each other, either going for DDTs or switching for power slams. And then when Cassidy wants to do that orange pump, John Silver always is able to slide past him. Of course, the Dark Order at ringside really wasn't that effective. But still, it was a great showing for John Silver.
JB3, you want to talk?
Yes, this match was great. I was starting to get a little bit annoyed with the Cassidy stuff, and he don't do that no more. Like, not the way he used to. He's evolving. He's finally evolving, and John Silver helped that happen. I think John Silver is going to end up being one of the best bases for any smaller wrestler. John Silver, like, not the in-ring stuff, he reminds me a lot of Dean Malenko. He's just really, really solid in the ring, and his character and his charisma overshadows that a bit, especially on Being the Elite. He's so crazy. Johnny Hungy, he's awesome. I love John Silver. He was throwing Orange Cassidy across the ring like he was a giant, and he's not. Now, again, it's because it's Orange Cassidy, and Orange Cassidy weighs like 130 pounds. He's like, Orange Cassidy's like 5 Marco Stunts, which is pretty small. But yeah, and I don't know if anybody's seen this. One of the main events that they did on Dynamite recently, John Silver, I think it was the 5-on-5, or it was a 4-on-4. I can't remember, but John Silver, he like went on this run and just like kicked like 6 people's asses real quick, and just one was a pump kick, like almost like a bro kick, but like he brought that kind of energy in the match, and man, he really showed not only why he's over as charisma based in this character, but he also shows why he's over in the ring. The dude can work. Like, period. I love John Silver.
Yeah, John Silver definitely put in the work. Dose, you want to give us your 2 cents?
Yeah, this match was the gift to the hardcore AEW fan. I don't know who John Silver reminds me of. I really can't think of anyone. It isn't Dean Malenko. I mean, it's more Eric Young, but not exactly there either. In any event, not important. I thought it was a clever match. It was exactly what it should have been. The right guy won. So, I don't have much more to say on it. It delivered. It was what it was supposed to be. It was a fun little match between 2 fun little guys.
Right on. Villain, what you thinking?
Yeah, I'm not going to really counter too many people's points, but I think JV3 nailed it on the head with the size, and the weight and stuff, because what the Paynemaker said was like, oh, he was throwing him around, and it was good. Like, that was like, he's a small guy, John Silver, like short in stature, but that dude hits some gyms, so he could probably lift 300 pounds easily. you know. And I've seen him do that on Dark. You know, he's starting to pick big guys up and doing these moves on them. And you know, and then Cassidy, you know, he's helping them, you know, with throws and shit. But yeah, this match was a great match. It was a fun match. Seeing both of these guys get a chance to shine. This was my first match that I got wrong, you know, because I thought that John Silver might pick this up with some interference with the Dark Order.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Sean, what did you think of Orange Cassidy and John Silver?
I loved Ryan's face as soon as I popped on screen. Personally, for me, I was kind of like with JB3 with Orange Cassidy, the mystique of his character, the whole just lackadaisical thing. By the time we got through the whole Jericho stuff, like I was like, okay, let's progress through this. And then when John Silver ripped his pockets out, I was like, okay, thank you for doing that solid thing.
Fair enough.
coming from a short wrestler myself, I like John Silver's look. I like how he, no matter what his size is, he proves that he can be a powerhouse against whoever he goes against. And putting him against someone like an Orange Cassidy, who is popular, agile, but light, to make Silver look a hell of a lot stronger than what he would be against someone like, you know, Lance Archer, I think did more for John Silver in this match than it did for Orange Cassidy. And I think in terms for the Dark Order, I mean, when you think of Dark Order, you think of Brody Lee, you think of Evil Uno, and you think of
Stu Grayson.
Yeah, I know him as Stu.
Yeah.
but yeah, you think of those three, and then everyone else is a bunch of generic guys in masks. Where John Silver's now progressing to become a face of that group outside of Colt Cabana. But this was like the one match where I was just like, I don't care to see this match, but it was a good come down match after Hangman and Omega. It was one of those things where you don't want to, when you put on a good pay-per-view, you don't want high. You need to have kind of a come down so the crowd doesn't get blown up before the next big match happens. And this was the perfect version. You had the Orange Cassidy fans, and then you had people who didn't really care that much about John Silver, but he needed to come out and prove himself to kind of get over a little bit more without having the Dark Order be there. And I think this was the perfect match for him to do that. And I think you're going to start seeing a little bit more of him coming out of this. So yeah, for what it was, I think it was solid.
I agree with everything you said. All right, then let's move on to the TNT. No, Villain, did you get your 2 cents? Villain, you didn't get your 2 cents, did you?
I did.
Yeah, he did.
I went right before.
That's right.
I can't even read it.
He was talking when you brought in Sean.
He was talking when you popped in.
That's right. All right, then Sean, why don't you tell us what you thought of Cody taking on Darby Allin for the TNT title?
I think the whole pomp and circumstance that Cody's doing right now and not being a heel is a little over the top. I was waiting for a heel turn this entire match, especially at the end where they were longingly like taking so long with him, giving him the belt and stuff. Like I was waiting for a Cody turn. I think it's needed. I think a Cody turn is necessary right now. I don't think they're going to do it because he's got this whole like posse with him, which I think it was kind of over the top with that. But Darby Allin is one of those guys that people look at him kind of like how Drake Younger was, is he's just a crazy hardcore guy. But if you put him in the right kind of situation, right story, he could be built up to be a Daniel Bryan-esque type of character. I'm not saying he's a Daniel Bryan level wrestler, but you can build him up to be that kind of a character, the underdog that people can get behind. He's not going to win most of the time, but when he does win, it's special. And that's exactly what this match was. Cody doesn't need the belt. Cody doesn't need to go after the belt. He's the Triple H of this company. You don't need to have the belt on him. He's over enough to be a guy that could build up the group, which is exactly what he said he did after this match, is that he built Darby Allin's character up, and it did exactly that. And when Darby Allin won, you know, the crowd popped for it pretty hard. So it was one of those things where the job was necessary and it was done the right way. I still think it probably would have been better if he was a heel, especially with the antics that he was doing in the match, of just like not finishing the match when needed and stuff like that. But the match itself was solid, and I'm glad that they didn't go really hardcore with it, because everyone's just like, that's all Darby does, is just like street fights hardcore, and they kept it well rounded in the ring. They fought Cody's match, and it showed that Darby is able to put on regular matches without having to go with the body bag or the skateboard or anything like that. So I thought for Darby as a kind of coming out party to everyone who kind of like with Cassidy, they need to go a little bit off and a little bit different than what everyone sees them do every week. And I think this was a nice opening for Darby Allin. And now potentially going into a feud with probably Brody Lee, you're going to have that underdog against, like David and Goliath story. And I think it's going to work perfectly, especially since he's got Cody, or actually it's probably more like probably with FTW with Brian Cage and, was it Ricky Starks?
Yeah.
Ricky Starks. Yeah. We're probably going to go that route too, and then Brody Lee's probably going to come in at the last second. But otherwise, the match I thought was really solid. It was the first. It was one of those matches where we've been building the story between Darby and Cody for a while now, and this was kind of the I don't want to say the blow off match, but kind of like this is not the last time we're going to see these two go.
Right.
They're going to go again, and I feel like Darby will get the better of it again, and then we are going to get a Cody snap at some point. Because Arn Anderson, the way Arn Anderson was acting in the match, you could see the seeds being planted at some point. It just might be a slow burn, kind of like what Paige and all of them have been doing with their storylines. This is also going to be a slow burn. I think tonight was, or that last night's was the start of that brewing.
You mean kind of like Matt Hardy said during the deletion match, the elite deletion, long-term storytelling.
Wait, I'm gonna hold all my stuff till that.
We have to save that. We gotta save that for later.
I had to make a sarcastic ass comment. I'll go next. I actually really like this. I like the fact that Arn yelled at him. You're bigger. Muscle his ass around. Kind of like, stupid. He's already almost gotten the best of you twice. Let's not let him, have this. And then you actually see Darby selling. He sold for Cody like, Cody was going to go over and everything. I heard a live stream of when Darby came out online. He gets pops, and I think that they're building him up slowly to get into that main event card, the upper tier. And I think this is a great way to start. He's going to bring new eyes into this. People are comparing him to Sting. I don't want to hear that shit. He's his own person. I don't ever want him to pick up a bat or anything like that. He's got his own niche. Let's let him run with it. I want him to hold this title for a while. Maybe not drop it. Be one of these players, wrestlers who picks up the title, has 2 or 3 small feuds, drops it, and then moves into the upper card. Let's let him run with this for 6 months, whatever, have a couple really good feuds, and then slowly build him up. He's already under Mox's wing. Let's let them both kind of run with it. Anyways, Ryan, what'd you think?
Sean mostly covered on a lot of good points in the match. I do agree that one thing I do think I personally I did not want to see a Cody turn here because I thought it should be. I'm not saying it needs to be on the right wrestler, but it didn't feel at that time at the right moment because when Cody came back, everyone was expecting Cody to be more of an edgier, more heelish version of himself. But then after he wins the title back, it's back to what he was in the start. He was slowly just peppering that stuff in, being, calling himself the Prince of Pro Wrestling, the face of TNT, and even that promo he did to Darby Allin saying that, oh, TNT wanted you. I pushed for you. I made you a star. That's pretty much him once again, boosting his ego up, not putting Darby over, but at the same time, still inserting himself into the picture. So whenever I love those moments when Arn was calling himself out because it's another long story. It's another storytelling moment to when Cody had brought Arn in as his coach to help him to be a good wrestler. And every time Cody is not listening to him or he's being self-defiant, it's like those slowly peppering moments that I think that the heel turn is going to be when he turns his back on Arn Anderson or he's going to attack him. But that's just one theory aside. But then the match itself, Darby, once again, he showed why his match against Cody at Fyter Fest did not feel like a freaking fluke to some audiences out there. It showed his determination, his incredible stamina, and also he's opportunistic because he also learned from his previous 3 bouts against Cody. Whenever Cody starts getting confident, that's when he attacks. When the way he finished it, though, because normally he learned his lesson. Because in the past, whenever he tried to do the coffin drop, that's when Cody was able to get the better of him. And so this time, that's how when he instead of doing a coffin drop, he changed it to a roll-up pin. That shows Darby every match, even if he does hurt himself, he is getting smarter and he is learning something.
All right, JB3, go ahead, brother.
Man, y'all, everybody's sitting on this whole channel minus Sean because he just showed up right now. I didn't even know if Dose was there yet. You heard me say it. As soon as they had that first round match in the tournament for the TNT title, I said a big old rant about how Darby needed to be the one to beat Cody, how it needs to happen in a big way, pretty much exactly how Sean explained it, how it needed to happen. Minus the Brody stuff, which was, I guess, random. That's exactly what happened, and it's exactly what needed to happen. This match right here, not only did it show, like Ryan said, that Darby is evolving as a wrestler, as a straight up wrestler. He's evolving. Like, he's not just becoming smarter, he's becoming better. He didn't take that many high risks in this match either, because this time there was too much to lose. See, you could tell, like, the one thing about Darby Allin's character that I'm sure people realize, because I mean you see it all the time, is he's reckless. He's relentless, but he's reckless. He's gonna do all this crazy shit, right? And it's not really safe. And even in the ring, like in all these matches, he was doing all this stupid shit. You know, like when he jumped off the top of the ladder with the skateboard and almost destroyed his legs. All the things that he was doing, people were criticizing. Like, man, he's still being. But when he wrestled this match, this specific match, he listened. He paid attention. Because, like you said, he didn't go and do some crazy, crazy risks. He beat Cody Rhodes. That's what he did. It's something he couldn't do. He drawed the first time, and then Cody beat him in the tournament. And then he couldn't beat Jon Moxley either. That big moment on Dynamite. He just couldn't do it. This time he did, and it was awesome. And I just want to, for my last thing I say about this, this dude is going to end up taking every Avalanche move he could possibly take. I can see it now. He's done took the Death Rider off of the top. Now he's taking the Crossroads off of the top. And it's the only time I've ever seen someone take a bump and then roll like 6 times. And it looked like he was supposed to roll like 6 times. Like, you could tell he rolled all the way to the other side of the ring to be by the ropes. That's
the one thing about this match too that you can tell with the build between these characters is, like you said, Darby's always the one doing the crazy shit. Darby's always the one taking the big risk. And in this match, it was Cody who was taking the big risk. So it was Cody who's taking the big moves to try to put him away because he was making sure he stayed down. But then he, for some reason, flipped it and was like, no, we're going to do one more. That Avalanche was, when he got up there, I was like, either this just is a false and it's not going to hit. And then he was like, okay. Good job.
Good job.
I mean, you knew exactly what was going to happen when he rolled like that, but still, taking that bump in general is
right.
Good job. Good job.
And I've actually been very critical of that as a fan, like as a smark. I look and I watch, and I've seen so many wrestlers purposely roll so that I'm like, their foot's going on the rope, or they're going on the rope. Like, you can tell, and a lot of times it's so noticeable. Like, I could even say, it was either Brooklyn or Respect in the Bayley and Sasha match. One of those, I think Sasha rolled, and you could tell. Mm-hmm. I wasn't critical because I love them, and it still looked good, but you could still tell so many people did it. They did really, really good. Like I said, no one else could get away with rolling 13 times all the way over.
The one brilliant part about that is that Cody grabbed the leg to make sure he wouldn't do it, but it was his arm.
Yeah. He thought his leg was going up, but his arm just kind of slid out just a little bit. It was brilliant.
That was the brilliant writing of that match. Is everyone's like, "Oh, here comes the leg," but it's like, no, Cody grabbed that leg.
And and that camera was right there, so you see him grab that leg. It was great. Perfect. All right, Dose, what'd you think? Are you with us there?
Give it a second.
I don't want to repeat too much of what other people said. I really agree with most of what the Crusader said, and I also agreed with a lot of what everyone said. So I'll give only the 3 criticisms. One, I wasn't thrilled with the jackknife roll up as the.
Oh, he might be glitching again. At least it's not me having internet troubles this time. All right. Oh, wait, he's back. Hold on.
He's back.
Oh, hold on. His device is connecting.
The sentence will be continued.
Dun, dun, dun. Hey, Bill, while he gets his stuff. Oh, wait. Hold on.
The suspense, man.
Yeah, don't worry. What he's gonna say is gonna be worth the wait. It's gonna be worth the wait.
Yeah, speaking of weak, my connection. Jesus. All right. So I don't know when I got cut off. I didn't love the.
You're talking about the
roll-up.
You're talking about the jackknife roll up.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that they are sort of obsessed with being compared to New Japan and long-term storytelling. I don't think everything needs to be a long-term story. The slow burn with Jericho and MJF, I think, has been good. I think the slow burn with Page and Omega has been really good. I even think that the slow burn with FTR and the Bucks was good until the last month, or the last 2 months was a little bit weird. And actually, the last couple of weeks with Page and Omega has been a little bit spotty. But Cody's been turning heel for like 6 months now. And, you know, it's sort of time. So I'm a little bit tired of this giant entourage. So if he's not turning heel, the only thing I can, must be that everybody needs to be on the pay-per-view to get a pay-per-view payday. So this is how they get everyone on the show. Aside from that, it's just too much. So Cody either needs to go heel or not, and one praise and criticism at the same time.
And we will be continued. Well, he starts out, Villain. What you got on mind?
Oh shit! All right, yeah. 20 minutes later, here we go. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, Cody's being Cody, man. This dude's very disrespectful, flaunting it. He comes out with his whole fucking gang, for Darby Allin. Mind games off the jump. But you know what? AEW needs somebody that's kind of like bigger than life, and it happens to be Cody because Cody has been with WWE for over 10 years. So he comes in, but even before AEW started, he went around the world collecting as many championships as he can. And with AEW, he's got to be that. And right now, he can't turn heel right now because of the ending. When we had Team Taz come out, which that was what I predicted wrong. I thought they would have came out for the heavyweight title, but I guess they're content fighting for the television, or not the television, TNT title. So, I was kind of like, oh man, I thought they would have came out for the heavyweight title match, but nope. It's, so those guys are going to be beefing with Darby. And then if the Dark Order decides to come back and starts beefing with Darby, he's going to have a lot of people gunning for him. But the match was great, man. They told a great story. Everybody said that this match was hella good and the right man won. That's how you pass the torch.
All right, so I guess we'll come back to him when he gets his shit squared away. We'll just move on to Hikaru Shida taking on Nyla Rose for the
Hikaru Shida.
Pika Pika. Oh wait,
Trying to do her thing.
Hashtag AEW cares more about the NWA women's title than they care about their own women's title.
Don't be a hater. Don't be a
damn!
hater.
All right, JV3 with that.
Wow.
Go first, brother.
I'm just going to say this. Look, I was critical of this for one reason, and it's because I didn't really care to see Nyla Rose in the match. I called Nyla Rose winning actually because I just thought she was going to win. But I didn't really want to see the match, but not for any negative reason on any individual performer in the match. They're both great. I love both of them when it comes to performances. It's just I feel the same way about that I felt about Nyla and Riho. Like, I want to see something else. like that first thing I said about the NWA title is kind of a it's not really that much. It's kind of just throwing a little bit of shade. It's people have been saying it a little bit, but yo, like I care more about it a little bit. Serena Deeb, you know, Thunder Rosa, like that whole deal that's happening to me seems different than what I seen last year, which was, you know, a smaller champion taking on Nyla Rose. So now the match itself, it was a great match. I mean, I liked it. I always like those two together. And one of the actual things that I really liked about it was that they actually did something, and I don't know if this is planned or not, but over the past few, well, probably since Nyla's been there, one of Nyla's moves was let me pin and then pick up the head, you know, and then beat her down more. It was like her signature. And then she did that to Shida once or twice. And then throughout the match, Shida started, and then Shida did it to her. And I was like, okay, see, that like that. Like that, they need to build that up. Because one of the things I was also critical of is that in the build up to the match, they did the same thing that they did before. They showed Shida in the crowd while Nyla destroyed somebody. And she looked worried. They did the same thing. I wanted to see something out of Shida. And I'm not saying she doesn't have fire, but against Nyla, she always looked scared. So I wanted to see that, and she showed that. It was that right there was probably my favorite part of the match. And then yeah, she took over, and then she's proved everybody wrong. So in that sense, yes, it built the title up, and it built both ladies up, in my opinion. I don't want to see them wrestle again in a pay-per-view.
I agree with that. I don't really want to see him either anymore. But I want to point out Shida's selling of her knee the whole time, because Shida's biggest thing is those knee strikes. And the fact that Nyla took out, well, actually, Vicky Guerrero took out her knee the whole time, and then she came back and fought through it. The fact she picked up Nyla Rose's big ass and actually suplexed her twice, it was really impressive. And Nyla's gotten better in the ring. Like, she felt more flowed with it, and I love the ending. That ending angle where Vicky just goes ape shit on her, kind of like Arn Anderson did with Cody, and just slaps the piss out of her. Just pow,
Pow.
They continued. Sean, you look like you got something to say.
I mean, unless Ryan or the villain wants to go first, because they've been kind of going behind me. I'll let them go first, because I actually got a good chunk to say about this.
Okay, Ryan, go ahead.
Okay. Well, look, I was gonna say this similar to what JV3 was doing. I mean, with Shida, look, to be honest, Shida, if I was grading this, and of course I'm gonna give a grade of this entire pay-per-view, but Shida and Nyla, they create a curve here. And I'm like one of the more staunch defenders of the women's division, because I believe that they had a plan to build it, but unfortunately they were stocking them up with Joshi wrestlers. So by the time when this whole fucking situation happened, it was one of the divisions that took the biggest hits. And I thought they were compensating very well by taking the title off Nyla, giving it to Shida, so then Shida can face some of the other women they want to bring in, like when she had fought against Penelope Ford. And then I figured when Britt got injured, they'd still give some more wrestlers for Shida to fight. But it was obvious here that them using Nyla once again, AEW going back into the pot, because they just didn't have anybody prepared. But that did not change my opinion that this was a very competent match from them. I do believe that I thought Shida was really showing off some very like heelish tendencies. Like when she picked up Nyla's head after that avalanche Falcon Arrow, I'm like, they're actually going to pull the trigger and give the belt back to Nyla, and especially with her damaged knee. But they did not do that. And then when Shida once again did another Falcon Arrow and those repetitive knee strikes to Nyla, that said a lot to me that Shida, depending on whoever she's going to fight now, she's getting to get more brutal in her matches. We're going to see more of aggressive Shida, because if she was willing to do that with her own injured knee, it's hard to tell exactly when the next feud's coming up how badly Shida wants to fight and retain that championship. I mean, who knows? Maybe the next time when she defends it at Revolution, she might lose it. But until then, we saw in this match the challenge that Nyla had presented to her and what she was willing to do in order to beat her. Like if she was willing, she risked her own knee in order to beat Nyla, and it paid off dividends for her. While Nyla, on the other hand, she, like in their Double or Nothing match, she underestimated Shida, pretty much relying all on her strength. Instead of taking her out when needed, she failed to take the advantage. And it clearly showed that shouting that Vicky Guerrero did to Nyla kind of felt like it was her comeuppance.
That's fair, villain.
All right, I gotta warn everybody at home that that vodka got me feeling fucked up. Yeah, so I'm gonna keep it short and sweet.
Oh shit!
Because motherfuckers talking about everything else but the match. All right, yeah,
I swear to God, you're not even listening to me. Okay,
I listen to you the whole time, brother. I'll never disrespect you like that. I listen to everything you had to say. You talk. Come on, man. Anyway, the one thing I didn't like about this was the build for this match. It was sloppy. It was really a sloppy build. Like you couldn't really get hyped for the match. Like I got hyped because I like Shida, you know. So I'm like, okay, and I know Nyla could wrestle well. So I'm like, all right, but you're not invested in the match because the fucking build was so shitty, right? So they go out there and they have a really good match. Vicky kind of, you know, she missed a few spots. She tried to do some shit. She was involved, but yeah, Shida impressed me with her strength. Like everybody else said, you know, she busted out some big moves on a big woman, and yeah, man, the match, you know, had you watching it and paying attention, and a couple near falls. I thought it was good, you know. But they do need to do some stuff, and in the AEW interviews they do after the matches, it's on YouTube. It was like an hour and 40 minutes. Tony Khan actually talked about this, and he said that now that the women's division has got to be the number one priority moving forward, because you know they really dropped the ball, you know, and it sucks because Riho's not there. You know, Nyla lost to Riho. She lost to Shida twice, so it looks like the Japanese woman got her number. But yeah, I thought it was, you know, for what it had to be, I thought it was a good match. I enjoyed it, and I picked Shida to retain, so I won that point there. But I know I lost the whole tournament because I lost 2 other matches. But yeah, that's all from me. Crusader.
All right, Sean, lay it on us. Hold on. Let's do this shit right. Hold on.
Oh.
I'm a smart ass when it comes to my show, boy.
No, it's fine. And I'll probably get heat for this. I don't care because I have been heavily critical of the AEW's women's division. There's no structure. There's no plan. It probably was because they were going to focus a lot on Britt Baker, but Britt Baker got hurt. But the main problem has been with most of these matches is that there's no thought through on what they want to do. It's just, let's throw this person against this person because they've wrestled before, and we got to have a women's match on the pay-per-view, which we already did. We added on the buy-in with Deeb and
Allison Kay,
which was a solid match. I am not a fan of Nyla Rose. I think she's sloppy. Her endurance is not good. You can tell that in the match. And she's basically AEW's version of Nia Jax, and I don't mean that in a good way. Shida, I think, is really, really good. She's a female Okada. First time I saw her, the first thing that popped in my head was a female Okada. But you're not building her up like she should be as an Okada. She should be having a great feud with building up these feuds with all these people, showing definitive wins. This match was sloppy. The battling outside the ring was very poorly put together. Her throwing Nyla Rose into the barricades, it looked like shit the entire time. Yes, great job. She hit an avalanche Falcon arrow. No way in hell Nyla Rose should have kicked out of that move. Even though Excalibur always says, he did the deal. I don't care. You take a big girl like that and you do that move on her, no, you don't kick out of that. And I'm sorry, you're bringing up her knees. They didn't sell that enough for those knees to matter. Her knees looked sloppy throughout the match. It's not like she hit her with the knee and screamed in agony because she was using the bad knee. She just looked tired in the match. It's one of those things where the whole structure. This is the first time in the entire pay-per-view where I was literally looking at my watch, going, "How much more time do they got left?" Because they looked exhausted halfway through. And Shida needs a solid, good wrestler to feud with. And Nyla Rose is not it. Nyla Rose, And that was the one thing too that really drug this match down for me is literally the match before. You had Darby Allin, Cody. Cody kept pulling up Darby because he was so confident, and you had Arn Anderson yelling him out of the back to finish it. And what'd you do? You did the exact same fucking story the next match. It's bad match placement. If you're gonna do the same story for a match, you don't put it right after that one in a poorer version. You do it 2 or 3 matches down where the fans have forgotten about it or moved on from it, so that way it feels fresh. You do it the very next match, it just feels like you have no plan, which is the women's division in a nutshell. Watching that match, I'm like, this is literally Darby versus Cody on repeat, and then to have Sheeta do it, which I get it, that made sense, and I didn't hate that. But it's once again, it's like we just saw this the match prior, and with Vicky coming in and screaming and yelling and doing all that, it's like, okay, cool. You guys haven't even been together long enough for me for this to matter. I don't care about Nyla Rose and Vicky yelling at each other because they haven't been together long enough for this to sink in or to care. And then to just have Nyla just walk off like, okay. No, it was just, this whole match was poorly written. It was poorly structured. It was poorly put together. And it was a blow-off match because they had to have a women's title match on the card, which if you were going to do that, put her against someone like Penelope Ford or any of the 20 other women that could put on a better match with Sheeta, because I've seen Penelope Ford and Sheeta had a great match on Dynamite. I think it was Dynamite. They had a great match. Just put them in there again. Just put her in again.
Yeah, they also did one at Fighter Fest too. Yeah.
Yeah, you have Kip Sabian, which means you have someone who, if they did attack Sheeta, makes sense. Vicky Guerrero, that was the lamest fucking kendo stick shot. Yeah. I'm sorry, and that's why the camera did. It was a weak ass kendo shot. Nothing that should have kept Sheeta down. At least if Kip Sabian did it, she could have fucking sold it like her fucking leg was broken. Worst match on the card, and it was the one thing that brought down the show for me.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. It was the lower. That's why I believe that if this card was going to be the best, this one's the lower tiered match. Like this, what didn't meet the bar.
Yep.
Not by a long way. It didn't meet the bar in a Dynamite match or a dark match for me.
Especially with what we're about to talk about, FTR, Cash Wheeler and Dax Hardwood taking on the Young Bucks. Sean, since you had a lot to say, you might as well keep talking. I'm entertained as shit.
I mean, I'm always gonna have something to say when it comes to wrestling. Look, these guys.
Shit.
When you're talking to someone who's been in the business for 14 years and you see how a match is structured and you watch that shit match prior, anything these guys would have done would have been a 5-star classic. The problem with this match, and it wasn't, and this is not knocking the match, is that these guys have built this match up for like 3 years now. Right. So anything less than like a 5-star classic was going to disappoint people. I enjoyed the match. I love FTR. I loved them as Revival in NXT. I thought that they got a Raw deal in WWE. I think that Arn Anderson should have been with FTR, not Tully Blanchard, because I've always seen FTR as this generation's brain busters, and I love them for that. I love the way they work. I love the way that they interact with each other, and the way they do their double team moves is fantastic. And the Young Bucks are the Young Bucks. If you don't like the Young Bucks, okay, cool. You're niche. You're not with everybody else. I get it. But the Young Bucks do one thing well. They work great with everybody. They know how to put on a performance, and they know how to hit the moves when the moves matter, and they know how to make the moves look good. And very rarely do they slip up. And when they slip up, it's pretty noticeable. But when you have a team with FTR's caliber, the match is going to work. I wasn't necessarily all for the let's hit every past tag team's finisher on each other because that diminishes those moves, especially because the
3D, yeah, 3D
does not look good. But also because FTR's finisher is basically a 3D into a knee buster. You didn't have to do that one. But I am saying, I will say this. There's one thing, if I have to have a knock on the Young Bucks, which I love the Young Bucks, I'm so tired of it always being Matt Jackson who's injured. Like, we dealt with, a year and a half of him having the back injury, and now it's the ankle injury.
Then he got the taped up ribs at double or nothing.
I get it. He's the older one. That doesn't mean he's fragile. Like, can Nick be the hurt one for once? Like, Nick is, in my opinion, Nick is the, if there has to be a weaker one, Nick is the weaker of the group. Make Make it be so. I mean, in my opinion, Nick is the Marty Jannetty of the Young Bucks. But then again,
Whoa.
even in the Rockers, if you remember watching it, Sean was always the one that was taking the heat for the most part, and it was always Jannetty coming in and saving it. Be different. Have Matt be the one, but the match itself was really solid. I liked it. I don't necessarily like the finish of it because with all the shit you hit in the match, a barefoot super kick is what did it in. Especially when the camera did not do a good enough job of seeing him do this. It didn't do a good enough job. I probably would have come up with a different finish than that because of everything they did to each other. That was the thing that put him down. But it was a great match. I enjoyed it quite a bit. They're going to continue feuding. They have to. You can't just have this as a one-off and then move on to somebody else. But for a first match for these two, it's a good start. They can build on it. But I hated the stipulation that they had in the match where if they lose, they're never going to defend again because you knew right off the bat that they weren't going to lose because they did that with Cody. And I'm sorry, you're not going to have everyone in the Elite outside of Kenny Omega and Hangman not be able to go for a title in this company because what the hell is the point? So that having that stipulation, that's a stipulation that should happen 2 or 3 matches down the road. Where if they couldn't keep beating them, fine, this is our last chance. You don't do it on the first defense against these guys. But nonetheless, it was an enjoyable match. It met all the quotas that I wanted. And eventually these guys are going to have a ladder match because it's the Young Bucks and it's just going to happen. And I'm excited for it. But yeah, it was a great match. That's all I'll say about that.
Villain?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I agree with the, I mean, everybody does. It's common knowledge. That was stupid as shit for them to have that stipulation going into this match. The match, I don't know if Matt is legit hurt or not, or, if he's just pretending, because there's been reports that he might be legit hurt. So, but yeah, going into the match, he was injured. So, he's taking the heat. Yeah, when they started hitting everybody else's finishers, they're just paying homage. And that's the thing right now that AEW can get away with. Being in their second year, barely in their second year, and the fans are going to ride with it. And I didn't mind that at all. You want to have fun, and that's what you do when you go to an indie show. Like if somebody did an RKO and then a spear and the indie show, like Randy Orton and Edge, I'm not going to be like, oh man, I've seen that shit before. I'm going to be like, yeah, woo, that was tight. So, that didn't really bother me. The ending was what it was. But we all knew who the fuck was going to win. So it just going into it, it was a letdown. The match was good, great. But going in, you already knew what was going to happen because they had that stupid stipulation. And they should have never had that. So that's it.
Okay, I want to bring up something too. FTR's point is no flips, just fists. And when they started doing flips, that's when shit went sideways. I mean, that they blatantly said that as they were coming out. They're FTR, no flips, just fists, and it's like, come on now. When they start pulling this shit, that's kind of like, okay, that's what it's going to lead to is them fucking off. And I kind of was like, well, that was kind of soft. And Villain, yes, it has come out during the post interview scrum that they did. Matt is really hurt, or he is really hurt. They're considering knee surgery, so I don't really know why they picked up the titles, but it is what it is. I could see 2 or 3 more matches like this, and then ending up in the ladder match, like Sean said. I think the camera angles is what really kind of fell flat for this match. They tried to pull some big shit and do the camera tricks to, hide it, and it didn't work, but it is what it is. I agree. It was definitely a good starting point. FTR is not going anywhere. They've officially signed contracts now, so they're going to be here for a while. And Ryan, go ahead.
Jesus Christ. I guess for me in this match, it was more of like, I had the same feeling towards Matt. Like, I'm sick and tired of him being the one with the hurt. Even though when we know going ahead, when reports came out, he was legitimately hurt. I thought he would be like in Nick's position in this match. He'd be taking less heat. He'd be the one mostly in the corner while Nick takes the heat. But instead, he's the one doing that. And it even pissed me off even more in this match where someone who goes in with a legitimate injury, even though he's medically cleared, and I'm not saying that FTR was looking to hurt Matt, but I'm just saying we've seen too many wrestling matches where an accident can happen and then someone gets legitimately hurt where they're out of commission for months or even a year on end. And so I was more worried throughout the first half of this match of Matt accidentally injuring his leg even more to where he was going to be out of the ring for months on end. Even if they did win the championships, that's what really distracted me throughout most of this match. And I said, and when I was watching this, I kept having this thought going in my head. Like I would be more happy with Matt healthy off the sidelines than get hurt and have to force himself into retirement, even though it's his leg, which won't be a risk of that. But who knows what happens when it comes with wrestling injuries. Beyond that tirade alone, I did enjoy this match once I got past my distraction. I was enjoying the fast-paced energy I was seeing between Matt and whenever Wheeler or Harwood were in the ring. Harwood and Wheeler were really doing a good job of being a smart tag team, using that tag rope, using creative ways to tag themselves in, and also pretty much playing to their strengths, keeping Matt isolated, making sure Nick doesn't tag in. But the flip, though, God damn it, man. I joked with a buddy of mine watching this that if he does a flip, they're going to lose the titles. And when he did that, I'm like, I was fucking kidding. I didn't think they were actually going to pull that off.
It was a good 450. It was a good 450. I'll give him that.
A great 450, but he pulls that off. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Because I personally thought to myself, I thought the Bucks were going to have balls and lose this match because I don't know. I kind of foresaw maybe some way the Bucks were going to try to, I don't know, maybe give themselves some time away from the tag titles. And then when people stop thinking about it the most, then they will use like some creative situation to get themselves back in the title hunt. But that's just how I was thinking about it. But other than that, I did appreciate the fact that they win the championships. I liked how after the match, when they were celebrating with Kenny, you saw in the background Hangman was right there in the entrance. It was pretty much the long form storytelling paying off in other dividends where Hangman, he had kept separating himself from the Bucks, and now he's literally on the outside looking at the Bucks success. And
in the announcement, the announcers didn't notice that until after Hangman had left.
Yeah.
You're waiting for the camera to just pan to him or someone to say something they didn't. And I'm like, missed opportunity.
I think that was actually one of the rare times the camera actually was working because it was focused on the Bucks. It had that great back zoom, and Hangman wasn't fully out of the tunnel, but he was still there where the camera can see him, but where commentary. And then I like that little tag to where I think Tony or
Shivani,
Shivani said, "Was somebody standing in the entry ramp?"
The problem is that no one else said anything, so it just died. No one responded to it. They just moved on to the next match.
You want to know what's real fucked up is that when FTR was beating down the Young Bucks, Hangman was the first one to come out there when they needed someone to help. He was the first one there. But for the Celebrate, Kenny was the first one there. That might mean something right there. But I'm sorry to cut y'all off, but I got to talk about this match.
No, go for it, man. Yeah, there wasn't much I had left.
So first off, it was a great match. Hilarious that you brought up the old school moves because the first thing I thought of was Edge and Randy Orton. As soon as they were doing that, I was like, oh, they're trying to have the greatest tag team match ever. Got it. Because, Edge and Randy Orton hit the rock bottom and the stunner and all the old finishers. So now they want to hit the swanton and the twist of fate. And I loved that they hit the meet in the middle, though. That
DIY finisher. DIY.
And Excalibur said calling back to DIY. Like he said it too. So that was cool.
What I loved about that little part was Harwood was like, and Dash was like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. No. Oh, okay. What the hell are you telling me?
He's like, oh,
I love that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that man. Oh gosh, that right there. That was great. I love that. The match was really, really good. I agree with Sean halfway on the finish. I thought that the super kick with no shoe on was a bad finish. Maybe it could have been something else. Why did it have to be a super kick? Whatever, I can get past it. I did really, but Matty, I loved the 450 attempt. Yes, it was a beautiful 450, even though he looks like he shouldn't be able to do it. Springboard 450. I know that not a lot of people know this, but AJ Styles did mention before that how painful it was to miss a springboard 450. He said when you miss that, it's ouch, ouch, ouch. So
I can attest to that. Yeah, it's true.
yeah, if people knew that, it would make sense that he took the pin after missing that. But there is something that I think is going to happen, and I read something today. It was yesterday or today, and it's about the WWE and how the WWE has conditioned wrestling fans to think that other promotions are going to do the same thing or the same ways that they do it. For instance, heel turns, the way that they tell stories, whether it be in matches, whether it be in like, an actual storyline or a feud program, whatever you want to call it. I think that this might, if I try to think outside the box and say, this isn't the WWE, this is the AEW, they're going to do something different. The one thing that might be getting put together here, and I know everybody talked about it, is I think that we might be finally going to be seeing some of this soon. Not necessarily a heel turn, though, because Cody would go up and down saying, oh, I don't think there's just heels and baby faces and this and that. Maybe they're not going to do a heel and baby face. Maybe they just need to find a reason. And their reason is that they didn't have Tully and Arn there with them. They didn't have those guys. Tully was gone. He wasn't there to say, don't do it. Arn was pissed, yelling at Cody, and Cody lost. They already went through that with Shawn Spears. And now Shawn Spears is on a winning streak with that glove. Yeah. So I think what might happen is that Tully and Arn are going to come together and they're going to get those guys all together. And they're going to say, you had the titles, you had the belts, but you lost them because you didn't listen to us. And I think that they're going to bring the four, maybe not the four horsemen, maybe the four, whatever. They're going to bring the group together based off of necessity and have a reason versus, the WWE. Everyone's bad now. And everyone, because they were good for 3 years, they got to be bad now. Like, so we might be seeing that. We might be finally starting to see like the beginning of the group.
I mean, I would be okay with it as long as they didn't call them the Four Horsemen, because that's just don't do something. Be the Four Horsemen, but like Evolution. Give yourself a new name. Be different. Be the same.
AEW's version of the Horsemen, but not the Horsemen. Basically,
only like Flair and JJ and the rest came there, and then said, "We deem you guys the Four Horsemen." Like, but Rick would have to show up, and JJ and everybody.
I mean, you know what? I want to jump in right quick about that because I'm a big fan of wrestling. When I play the video games, I always have those legends, those names. And I'm thinking, if you want to go with legacy, like a real sport, like the Boston Celtics, they're rocking, they got banners. So why can't you bring up? Because I always do the NWO when I'm playing the games, and I'm like, why hasn't the WWE ever done this shit? Like, people could say like, oh, it's kind of played out, but it's like, if you do it right, it could be a banger. Like New Japan is doing it with the Bullet Club, for the last like 4 years. It's like WWE, they have these names and they don't do shit with them. And if I'm a wrestling guy, just like how our homeboy, got the NWA going again, he loved wrestling. So when he comes in, he has ideas too, and he wants to bring in legacy. So I would never abandon names. Like if I was WWE right now, I'll have a motherfucker dressed as Kane out there and just continue that. Like shit, it's a fucking guy in a mask. I like Kane. His movesets are legit. Like I ain't mad at that. Like wrestling, like sometimes you can put that shit there, But yeah, man. I mean, so I don't mind that, Right now. If they bring in the Four Horsemen, it's just a name, man. It's like they gotta build on their legacy if they do that, And if they have the rights to it, who's gonna say no? They're gonna try some shit and they're gonna try to keep the legacy going, so it doesn't die.
But that right there is the big kicker, though, is who has the rights to the name, the Four Horsemen. Yes, Arn has it on the clothing rights. He has the clothing rights to it, but does he actually have the
trademark
for it? I think that's still a WWE trademark. So, I mean, they use it in NXT. You know, you got the Four Horsewoman, whatever. So that right there might even play into what Sean said. You know, sorry, you know, we can't legally call you the Four Horsemen, so we're gonna call you this.
I mean, fuck, Cody couldn't use his last goddamn name until last night. I mean, let's be real here. It's a freaking last name.
The fact he got to use his last name.
I do want to bring up something. I want to go back to Cody real quick. Something that just because Sean that brought it up. Cody couldn't, you know, fight for the team for the championship. Cody Rhodes could. You know, there's that loophole that could get Cody back into fucking the title picture. Just
if he was a heel, he could get back in the title picture with that. As a face, you can't pull that shit. As a heel,
I mean.
Remember, we got to get out of the WWE mindset. It's AEW. There's no faces and heels, right? That's what they say. He's going to be a babyface and do it.
I'm not. Oh, okay. Get out of the WWE. Yes, it's a heel face since like the 1910s. You know?
I know.
All right.
It's wild, bro.
All right. I'll be the first to admit before I say this next match. This match had me scared. Like these two should not have like ever wrestled again. But I was pleasantly surprised. Thank God it was a cinematic match. You know, we had the elite deletion.
It's so obvious to me it was going to be one, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, so did I. But last time they said they were going to have something like this, you know, Matt Hardy got knocked the fuck out for 35 seconds. So let's be real. That was scary. Ryan, you could go ahead and talk about this first.
Put the picture back up, Matt. You took it down so quick.
Okay, hold on.
All right, yeah, let's see that shit again, man. Oh yeah, there it is. All right, nice.
I really do like the design of their graphics and posters for the.
I do agree. I agree with that.
Especially I like the way that the gears cover one eye. I don't know. It just kind of works.
No, yeah, it's like covering one part of the face there. Like it's just, I don't know what it just gives like a very good. It's just a very good image to give to its audience. But
covering two would have been overkill.
Yeah. But just looking at this match, though, I mean, a part of me felt that this was definitely going to be a Cinematic match because it was pretty much because of All Out that they couldn't do a normal wrestling match anymore. I mean, at least between Sammy and Matt. And at the same time, if this was going to be the capper, this was going to be the page, this was going to be the last chapter in their feud, it had to be something like this. And I enjoyed this match from the starts. So many good callbacks to Sammy driving in that cart that he always kept getting himself knocked out on, or at least kept getting ran over on. And then Matt Hardy with the freaking monster truck using Neo to hack into Sammy's golf cart to shut it down. Like so many great nuances there. And throughout the most of the match, even though you were seeing broken Matt elements, it was still ultimately Matt Hardy wrestling, like bringing in Private Party, then Pride and Powerful being there. And the best part about this match is even though it was solely a Matt and Sammy feud, Matt used this as a platform to really get all of the AEW guys over, from Sammy Guevara to Pride and Powerful to Private Party, even bringing in his buddies like Gangrel and the Hurricane in there. But I know you guys want to talk about those, so I will just quickly skim over. Loved it. Loved the reveals. Loved the tease of the Lake of Reincarnation. Loved the return of Skarsgård, the dilapidated boat. It was like a freaking his return felt like a B movie prop set. All of a sudden, like Skarsgård now, like what the hell was that? And then it was amazing. And then the final moments of them being the firework standoff between it was great. I mean, gladly nothing lit on fire, hopefully, but Jesus Christ, knowing that they were using fireworks at each other.
Okay, obviously you've never shot a Roman candle at somebody. That shit doesn't set shit on fire. It is
I haven't used one.
That shit goes out. Two, The reason that Hurricane Helms and Gangrel was there is because that was a throwback to the two other deletion matches, the one in TNA and the one in WWE.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of good throwbacks there. I like the fact that the Pride and Powerful being at this match kept them out of the Jericho match. That way, there wasn't shenanigans in that match.
I said that earlier.
Shut up. My fucking turn, bitch.
I wasn't done, but you decided to come on in. But go ahead.
Goddamn right, I did. My turn.
Hey, Ryan,
Damn.
you were like, this is the last thing I'll say. I loved it, and then you went on.
It's like,
I was cutting through. I knew you guys wanted to talk about Hurricane, Gangrel. I just wanted to quickly talk about what I loved those moments. But if you just look at the closing,
he's like, I'm gonna say this one last thing. I loved it, and I'm like, cool. I'm gonna jump in then.
Well, go ahead.
I called this one wrong. I thought this was gonna put over Sammy, and Sammy was gonna take the win here. But you know what? I don't really care either way. Sammy still looked good in it. It is what it is. JB3, go ahead. Don't let Ryan talk.
Ryan, Ryan, yes, you did keep going, but I was listening because I really do listen to what you say. I just want to have a good laugh. This match was a good laugh. It was a good laugh. I don't know what to say about these matches because when if I'm coming at it looking for a good wrestling match or a good wrestling story, it's just not what you're going to get. But if you're looking in this to see some crazy ass shit that is just fucking wild and fucking crazy, then it's exactly what you're going to get. So it just really depends on what you're looking for. I never disliked the matches or really loved them. And this is the same for me. It was, and yes, it was good to see a lot of cameos, especially from the chair of wheels and the mower of lawns, which was in the back next to a coffin. I don't know why the coffin was
piano, and a random piano.
A random piano. Yeah, but if anybody can do matches like this, it's Matt Hardy. And I absolutely did. I do have to say that what I did love though is he got his receipt. Oh
yeah, where he just chucked that chair at him.
Right. And again, another callback to one of the greatest tag teams, the Concerto. Kind of. It was cement to chair, not chair to chair. So, but it looked pretty nasty. It was not that, they you could camera trick that stuff because it's cinematic, whatever. But yeah, it was, Sean talked about card placement, match placement on cards. This is one of those matches that it takes you away from serious in-ring action. So if you are going to have some serious in-ring action, which is actually coming up later, then this is something that you could probably get your mind off of it to go back into the big serious storytelling and action. I was not necessarily a fan, but I'm not a fan. I'm cool with it. I'm cool with Matt Hardy, and I'm cool with it. I can get down with it. So,
Vinley, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to talk too much. Everybody else pretty much nailed it on the head. I'm not going to repeat shit that's already been verbally spewed out of somebody else's mouth. The cameos are great. This is what I expected. I picked Matt Hardy to win it, and he did win it. So that was another win on the books for me. But it was what it was. I wish they would have did more things. If I'm a fantasy book for a little second, I wish they would have went like into a room and then Matt Hardy and fucking Sammy were like sitting there speaking Spanish, and then the grandfather and Reba come in and they speak a little Spanish, then they go do some shit else. I was like, oh, that because you want to have some fun and shit. And right now, if I'm spending money on a pay-per-view, which we all did, I don't mind Matt Hardy doing what the fuck he wants to do. Like, Matt Hardy's got that pass. Like, I don't mind this. I'm not going to critique him, but like, it's like Matt Hardy is a genius, and he's willing to have some really shit that we haven't seen before. And no other company's really incorporated what Matt Hardy does except where Matt Hardy goes. So anytime Matt Hardy's gonna wrestle, I don't give a fuck. I'm not ever gonna hate. You know, I'm a wrestling fan and I'm gonna watch him. You know, as long as he doesn't fucking get concussed again, you know, I'm always down for him.
Okay, one
And
last thing.
Sammy will get there, you know. But that's it.
Before I throw it to Sean, I wanted to see Sammy's ass get thrown in the lake of reincarnation and come out as a baby face. Just gonna put that out there. That would have been the perfect way to turn Sammy face. All right, Sean. Oh God, everybody hit the deck. This is gonna be worse than one of Villain's rants.
What word?
I will try not to be as bad. I don't know what villain rants are, so I can't say for sure. Look, I respect Matt Hardy. I think his Delete character worked wonders in Impact. I think it worked great in Impact with his feud with Jeff Hardy. Since Impact, none of these matches have worked for me. They didn't work in WWE. It did not work in this one. This one, while Nyla Rose and Sheeta was the worst match on the card, this was the worst part of the show for me. I couldn't stand this. There's one thing of taking the realism out of it and just have fun. But if you are gonna do it like it was an Impact. Just go so far fucking left with it, and just go batshit crazy. This was like they wanted to teeter on the line between this still wrestling match and it's his cinematic stuff by having the ring and by bringing Private Party and all them, which I love how Gangrel and Santana Ortiz just disappeared at the end. Like they were just gone after the Dome, but Private Party was still there. You never saw what happened. They just freaking left, which I hate crap like that. It's like they just go, oh, they went inside the Dome. Bye. And they just left. Like they were just gone. No Gangrel. They were just I also love that the styrofoam scepter broke and they had to cut the camera away super quick so you couldn't see that it was styrofoam. But it's one of those things where if you're gonna go so far with it, go so far with it. I was expecting Matt's little kid to show up or cry when Sammy ran over his toy truck. That didn't happen. Reba being thrown in at the very end playing the piano was just like we had to get Reba on the show, which made no sense. The fireworks stuff, the fireworks stuff was fun. I liked the callbacks when they were inside the what was it? Was it the Dome? Is that what they were calling it when they went inside like the farmhouse kind of thing?
Is what they called it. The Dome of Deletion.
Yeah, I like the callback to them falling and Sammy busting his head and then the chair shot. But one of the things, and this is kind of going back to the Young Bucks FTR thing with doing old school tag team moves. If you want to be different than WWE, if you want to be looked at as different than WWE and not as a ripoff, stop using their stuff. Stop with the concerto. That's their thing. That's Edge and Christian's thing. Hurricane Helms, that is a WWE character. Gangrel. They actually didn't say Gang. Like they actually changed. They actually said his real name after 2 seconds. Stop trying to be them and be your own thing, because you're always just going to be looked at as like little brother or just a wannabe company. And this is just one of those things. It's not like they did that for the whole show, because they didn't. And that's why I like AEW, because they try to be different. But if you're going to keep poking WWE, you got to start just saying, we're not going to be them. We're going to be our own thing. Well, then stop doing shit to remind us that WWE is around. Be your own thing. Create your own thing. And Matt Hardy does a solid job of doing that. But on this match, because it like half the match became like an 8-man tag, like an 8-man tornado match at one point, it just felt like a cheaper. While like let's say like the TNA ones were B show, like B movies. This was a D movie. A lot of it just felt tired. It felt rehashed. There was nothing new or unique to it except for the monster truck. And it just felt like they were like, all right, Matt, do you just want to do one for shits and giggles? Wonderful. Let's do it. I got no plans, but fuck it. Let's do it, because I don't want to get in the ring with Sammy. And that's what it felt like. And it's just, it just felt sad watching it. Like, I like Matt. I do. And I think Sammy has a load of potential, but this match just felt bad the whole way through. There's little things here and there that I liked, but for the most part, I was just like, God, let this end quickly because I'm so tired of these cinematic matches. I hate that AJ and Taker's match went off so well, so now everyone has to think they have to do this shit. And I get Matt did it first in TNA, but that was like a niche thing with TNA that was like, ooh, they did this one cool thing. And it was great because Jeff was a part of it. And Jeff has had different personas and stuff like that, but when you throw Hurricane Helms in twice and he goes back to Hurricane, it's like, okay, I was waiting for like 3 count or something to pop up, which I think that wasn't even him. I think that was Evan Courageous. But it was just one of those things where it's like they just ran out of ideas. If you don't have enough ideas to put together a 10, 15-minute match of this style, then don't do it. Just do a regular match. Because at the end, it was just like, you guys are really... Because I got to the point where I was looking at the clock, like, there's still like, how many matches left? Let's get going. This is a filler match. I would have actually put this second, or I would have put this after Cody and Darby, and I would have put Nyla and Sheeta here. To give them that this would have been that time where we're on the match placement they should have switched, and it probably would have worked out better. But yeah, this whole thing didn't work for me.
Okay.
And
talk about a throwback to Halloween Havoc 97 with monster trucks.
yeah, but that was a whole match dedicated to that. Like,
I know. I was just being a smartass.
But I mean, I did like how he ran over a toy car, and then he got ran over by a monster truck. But I mean, it was like they grew bigger and bigger. But it was just it doesn't work for me. These cinematic matches don't work for me. Like, there's times where they'll work, like Undertaker and AJ, which even then was like, it was teetering, but it worked, but it barely worked. And then there's stuff like Money in the Bank, which was hot garbage, and like Cena and Wyatt's promo, which was it was a promo. It wasn't a match.
But the Firefly Funhouse match, then of course there was...
Orton and Wyatt's one worked. That was fine because that.
Hey, can we get back onto the pay-per-view? We've already been here almost an hour and a half. Like, I want
We're almost there.
We're gonna move right on now to Jericho and MJF. If MJF wins, he's in the inner circle. Go ahead, Big Daddy. You talk about your boy Chris Jericho. Go ahead, villain.
I thought this was a really good match. Since Proud and Powerful we used earlier, I can understand why nobody came out with Jericho. Wardlow was out there, but Wardlow was pretty cool. You know, he didn't really like distract too much in this match. I like the very ending of this match because I know everybody else is going to talk more in depth, so I'm going to let them go. So I'll be quick. I liked the ending. You know, the way he got the pin off. You know, with the roll up. I was like, okay, that works. I picked Chris Jericho to win this shit. I should have known. This was kind of very predictable, but I was kind of like going against the grain, thinking maybe we'll get a holy shit, like, oh damn, like, now where do they go? But no, they stuck to the script. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what else happens with these guys. So yeah, this was a fun match. And MJF is just fucking like the MVP, man, in the race. Like, in a year, this dude has advanced so much. You know, MJF from wrestling all these legends. And he's winning, man. So I don't mind it. I want to see what happens with Wardlow. I thought maybe he would get like kicked out of the group, jumped. But we have to see. Maybe he'll turn babyface, or because I don't know how many people they want in the inner circle. But yeah, this match was 2 thumbs up for me. But that's it for me, brothers. I'll let the other guys go.
I'm gonna drop this. I'm glad Chris Jericho put over MJF, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Go ahead, JB3.
Yeah, you know, my prediction was a little bit wild. My prediction was that it was going to be the turn and that he was going to take over. A lot of other people predicted that he would just win, and you know, with underhanded tactics, which is pretty much what happened. He countered every single one of Chris Jericho's big moves. So Chris Jericho didn't just put him over with the victory. Chris Jericho put him over as a wrestler, put him over with his intelligence and his in-ring psychology. There was a reason that they did that. Jericho tried to hit the Judas effect, hit the post, fucked his arm up, which set up for the ending later. Well, not the ending, but what could have been the ending. And he tried the drop kick from the springboard, and then he took the arm and slammed it over the top rope. Like, he was countering everything with targeting the arm, which is what it's supposed to be, so he could do the salt of the earth. So MJF was wrestling a match. Like, he was doing everything he could first to beat Jericho, because Jericho is a legend. Like, you look at it in that sense, like he loves Jericho. Like, it could be, you know, setting up whatever it's going to set up for later, but what they're saying now and what he's always shown Chris Jericho is respect. He wants to be a part of the inner circle, right? He showed it against Chris Jericho. I mean, and then the end with the underhanded tactics. You know, I will do this, I'll do anything, and he ended up doing something that, rest in peace, Eddie, would do, you know, and that was cool. He got the roll up, which whatever, but he grabbed the tights, grabbed hard too. So now he's part of the inner circle. So we get to see more of them two together. Probably going to try to take over. I still only have the theory that the jacket was, like Dose said at the end of my theory, the jacket was way too big for Sammy because it was meant for Wardlow. Sammy's and Jericho are going to maybe possibly, you know, leave the group, and it's going to be a new group with Santana and all of them. But I don't know. We'll see. As of right now, the match itself, Jericho did a lot to put over MJF. And I did hear also that Chris Jericho has lost every pay-per-view match of 2020.
That is true. I actually went back and looked that up. That is true. Ryan, go ahead.
Okay. I was kind of surprised in this match. I personally thought Jericho was going to win because of the constant losses he's had on pay-per-views. So I thought this was Jericho at least going to end the year with a W in his pocket. But I did like in this match, we did see MJF as Jericho pretty much. I mean, if you look at the storyline from the Dynamite after the town hall meeting leading up to here, you can almost see it as Jericho. He pretty much set himself up to fail when he told MJF, "You haven't beaten me. If you beat me, you're in." And MJF says, "I will do anything." Jericho did not listen to when MJF said that. And then, of course, with last week's Dynamite, this past Dynamite, he calls MJF soft. It's pretty much it's almost as if deep down you felt that Jericho subconsciously, like character-wise, wanted MJF to join. And just seeing this match, how MJF was relentless against Jericho, was stopped, like JB3 says, he stopped Jericho, or at least he was pretty much he was on his tail going throughout that match, stopping him, or at least catching him on some of his big moves. He was using those dirty-handed tactics, which I thought Wardlow was going to be more useful when it came with the dirty hand tactics, but Wardlow was just there at ringside. He was almost as ineffective as he was in MJF's match against Moxley at All Out. But I guess this time they just wanted to keep Wardlow there as a kind of a looming threat. If Jericho was able to do something like bring in a bat, or if Jericho was going to use the diamond ring against MJF, Wardlow was kind of there to be as an equalizer. But it showed that MJF didn't really need him. And it also leads to a tag that MJF has joined the inner circle. Technically, Wardlow's not a member, to where you might see MJF start leaving Wardlow out of inner circle business, to where Wardlow's probably going to be like a doorman, standing outside of their locker rooms until finally the day comes where Wardlow just can't take anymore and he turns on MJF, or MJF cancels or fires Wardlow, and then we get Wardlow on his run.
Hey, he did say it, bro. Jericho did say Wardlow was in.
Yeah,
he did.
said you're both in.
Yeah,
okay,
he did say it.
I forgot that. I completely forgot
but what
that.
you said still could happen. What you said still could happen, but he did
forgot that. Yeah, that's true. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I completely forgot. I forgot hearing that, because after that match was over, it was just like I slightly tuned out.
All right, Sean.
I mean, the match was fine. I really have nothing. I have one big negative to it, but it didn't like deter from the match. To me, the best part of it was the entrances. I loved MJF's Y2J entrance, even with the fist pumping, like he did back when he first joined once again WWE. And the robe kind of thing, because he threw me there for a second. So I was like, wait, Jericho coming out to his music? Like, what's he doing? And it's like, oh, it's a robe. I like it. I like that. And then, of course, I get goosebumps every time the crowd sings Jericho's music. Jericho just in awe every time, and I love it. That's, I mean, who wouldn't? Seriously. But I mean, I love that moment. It was a great moment. The match itself was fine. Well worked throughout the whole way, like you guys said, with working the arm, out wrestling him everywhere you can go, to the point where it actually kind of felt like, and I think this was more not because of it actually being this, but because of how they were kind of portraying the match. This is the first match I felt like that really showed Jericho's age, because MJF was always just one step ahead, always kind of like always ahead in terms of that. This is the first match where it kind of made Jericho feel like he was old and he wasn't able to keep up with MJF in certain respects, and just being able to outsmart him and stuff like that. The only knock I really have on this, and this isn't just this match, this is in most wrestling companies now, whether it be NXT or WWE or any of them, the schoolboy pin is the most ridiculous pin in WWE when you don't put pressure on it. And Jericho laying there for a solid 5+ seconds without just doing this is annoying as hell, because Jericho could have kicked out of that in a heartbeat. And it's like, if you're going to do it, put your fucking weight into the pin to show that Jericho couldn't kick out, because it was a lazy pin and it just makes Jericho look like an idiot, which Jericho's kind of in a borderline comedy act right now, which is fine with this whole thing. But I just hate schoolboy pins like that. It just looks bad, especially on a pay-per-view. If you're going to end it that way, like that's a dynamite finish. Like if you're going to do it, do like an actual like a roll up, do a roll up where it's like he's tied up, Jericho can't get out of it. Don't do it where Jericho's literally flat on his back and MJF's barely covering him in a schoolboy who doesn't kick out. But other than that, the match was fine. I really don't have much more to say about that.
Hey, you mean like when they do backslides and they don't drive their feet and keep running?
Well, more so now when they do the backslide, and then they like try to like peel their body over.
Yeah.
It's like, I get what you're trying to do, but it just looks stupid. But yeah, I hate schoolboys. I really do. I've never, even in my 14-year career, I never did it because I just thought they looked stupid. And if I did, I made sure I laid my whole body on their legs. So like, if they had to kick out, it had to make sense. But I hate schoolboys.
Even if it's back down. I've seen some wrestlers do it back down where they go over and they'll just turn and they'll put their whole back on their legs.
Exactly.
Or if they use bridges, or if they use a bridge for like a roll-up pin.
That, or just because it's MJF, fucking pull the tights. What's against pull the fucking tights? Do something, because that just made it just looked bad. It looked bad. But the match itself outside of that, I thought was solid.
All right, and our main event. Jon Moxley took on Eddie Kingston again in an I Quit match. Y'all know me. I am the hardcore guy. I love deathmatch wrestling. I love blood. In my opinion, that was one of the problems with the Hell in a Cell matches. There was no blood. A little bit of blood would have gone a long way. I'm sure y'all are going to break it down. I'm just going to go to the ending. I like the way it ended because, Mox wasn't going to, there had to be a unique way that he beat him. I like the fact that he took the barbed wire, wrapped it around his arm, and choked him out with it. Eddie Kingston looked fucking devastated at the end of it when he had to say I quit. I like the fact that Mox went over to say something and he basically said fuck you and walked away. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna let y'all break it down. Sean, you can start us off.
I'm gonna say this: if it wasn't for their promo this past Wednesday, I was not gonna buy this pay-per-view. That promo sold me the entire pay-per-view because I knew we would see FTR and Young Bucks in many matches outside of this one. So there wasn't really a match on the card that really made me go, I have to see this. Their promo this past Wednesday made me go, I gotta see these two try to kill each other. Just because, and that's one of the things inside wrestling here real quick. The people you are closest to, your wrestler brothers, are always going to be your most brutal matches because you let them get away with hitting you hard and real. It's the people you don't know that the matches aren't as brutal. And so I knew with these two, with their history and their friendship, this was going to get violent, more violent than what I thought it was going to be with Omega and Moxley. It did not reach that level. But it was solid. It was solid. I thought it ended abruptly. I thought it ended quicker than it should have. But in a match like this, with them doing what they were doing, it actually also made sense for them to end it. But I also think it was because they were trying to cut the pay-per-view time. So they kind of cut it shorter than it probably was, because some matches probably went a little long. To me, the best spot in the match that made me go, oh, was definitely the peroxide. That spot had me. That had me locked in. I was there just like, it's probably water, but if that was legit peroxide, I know how much that shit stings. And F you. Because if it was one of my brothers and I was in a match like that and they did that spot to me, they'd get lit up the next time I got to hit them. But that was definitely my favorite spot. The end, I think the idea of it with him wrapping it around and doing the choke, I think in theory looked good. I think the visual of it could have been a little bit better, but you're asking two guys who are tired, who are busted up and bleeding, to try to make it look better. That's asking a lot at that point. If I was Mox, I probably would have put the barbed wire like around the eyes, like he's gonna lose his eyes if he doesn't fucking quit, kind of thing, just to focus it. Because we've seen the mouth thing before, but putting it here, I think would have sold Kingston quitting a lot more, because you're gonna lose your eyesight if you can't wrestle if you don't have eyes. You're gonna lose your eyes if you don't quit, kind of thing. Then just hiding it under the throat, especially because we know it wasn't gonna really cut him. The visual of it didn't work. The idea of it did. But like I said, these two guys, if you give them in a match in this kind of atmosphere, it's going to be good. And it was a good main event. It wasn't the best match on the card, but it definitely, to me, had the most emotion of the matches on the card. That's what sold the pay-per-view for me, and that's probably what it sold pay-per-view for a lot of people. So it did its job. And that's all I'll say about that.
All right, JB3, go ahead.
Yeah, first off, the first thing I'm going to say is, yes, I seen it on the internet, and I agree. Eddie Kingston looked like he was wrestling like in an outfit that looked like belonged with the Spirit Squad.
Yes, that is true.
Oh god.
Yeah, I agree with a lot. I'll say this: I guess it was rubbing alcohol, and he did pull. I mean, it's wrestling; you can work anything, but he did take the cap off and rip the seal off. Like, so I don't know. It's probably water.
Here's the thing for me, and this is what I was hoping they would have done to prove that it was real. Zoom in on a cut, and if you saw bubbles, that's legit. They didn't do that. It was like, if you would have showed me bubbles on the cuts, okay, you saw that's real, and I'm all for it. But
it definitely worked in the sense of, like if you're gonna believe it, that like that was great. Like it was unique too. Like people don't think of doing stuff like that. Yeah,
I thought it was lighter fluid, and then I saw what it was, and I was like, oh, I like that even more.
Right.
I mean, it's still. I mean, the way Moxley did sell that, though, the way that it got poured on him. I mean, he didn't try to oversell. The way he pinned his shoulders back, like arching himself a little bit, as if he was literally like he was burning on the inside.
It's real. You know what? It's real. I'm just gonna call it now. It was real. They did it. He wasn't selling. That's real pain.
Fine.
That.
But, I'm not mad at it.
Right. Me neither. So the match. I actually agree. Like some matches, you're gonna see athleticism to its highest extent. Like when in the build up to the lights out match, Moxley was like talking about Kenny putting on 60-minute symphonies and this art, this masterpieces of art. Like sometimes that's not going to happen. Sometimes you're going to get a fight. That's sometimes that's what you need is a fight, not people to wrestle, a fight. And that's what the promo leading up to it felt like. It was going to be a fight, even though Moxley said I'm the best wrestler in the world, throwing that in there because yes, it is wrestling. But it was the vibe of a fight. You were like, these guys got real history. They're going to fight. And that's what they did. They fought. It was brutal. It was so brutal. And yes, in a time where when you watch specific wrestling, like, I don't know, NXT UK, brutal matches are really brutal with no weapons, barely even touching ropes. But they did use weapons, but it like Sean said, it lived up. It brought out so much emotion. Even in the end with Moxley, like you could tell Moxley still loved him. It's something that's twice now that Moxley has brought out emotion. First time in the Darby Allin match on Dynamite, and then this time, like props to both. Like to be different, yet to be great. And like Sean said it perfect. It wasn't the best match on the card, but it brought out the most emotion out of anything else. And that's why people bought the pay-per-view, and that's why it was a successful main event.
All right, Ryan.
No, I was definitely agreeing with that. I look, we had throughout this match. I mean, I'm gonna say this pay-per-view gave us different kinds of wrestling matches. I mean, we had at the beginning with Serena Deeb and Allison Kay, a technical, almost traditional kind of wrestling match. Then we get on with Kenny and Hangman, to where it was a clash of styles, where it was athletic, but then at the same time, it was a simple, almost a mixture of strong style, but with American style wrestling. And then we kept going further and further up to where you had the cinematic match. John Silver, even though that was a good match, there were some elements of comedy involved, even with some of the women's matches where Sheeta tried to mix it with Joshi. This card was trying to give us a different flavor of every match. So when we finally got to the I Quit match, I was expecting a mixture of brutal, but also a bit of like striking style wrestling. Because one thing AEW has been saying, Moxley has been training more towards style of using MMA fighting or mixed martial arts. And so I was expecting a lot of that in this match, but I was loving the emotion going into this scene with Eddie Kingston. He was straight 100% business going in. He was not messing around. He had a shot to take at Moxley. He wasn't going to miss it. And despite and when he brought out the thumbtacks, I was thinking, okay, who was actually going to take that bump? And were they going to step it up even more to where they're going to bring in like broken glass, like with Moxley's lights out match against Kenny, or they're going to step it up even more? But each piece that was brought in was used to a certain effect. When Moxley brought in that barbed wire bat, they didn't step it up. Instead, Kingston, he just tore the barbed wire off and used it as a weapon. So we were getting so many good variations here in this match of the thumbtacks, of barbed wire. And while at the end, yeah, I did not also believe the whole barbed wire around Moxley's arm and the choke. I was maybe expecting, because the problem was it was so wrapped, spaced apart. If Moxley had just had the barbed wire all tightly wound in one area of his arm and then had it placed somewhere where it tricks the camera to thinking he's pushing it up against Eddie Kingston's throat or his Adam's apple, to where the referee Bryce is really trying to tell, like, come on, Eddie, quit, like really selling that hard emotion in there. That would be a perfect capper. It was still very good selling, very good performances from both Moxley, Bryce, and Kingston, even after the match where Moxley wanted to help Kingston up, carry him to the back, but Kingston's like, no, even though the match is over, but in Kingston's mind, it is not. And even though he may not challenge for a while, it won't surprise me if Kingston is going to try to get another shot next year. But this match was great storytelling, good pure emotion between two wrestlers that has great history. And I kind of do want to see these guys wrestle again, not in a more dangerous match, but somewhere to where the intensity is just going to like come out in buckets.
All right, villain, close us out.
Yeah, this match is what I thought it was going to be. I picked Eddie to win just because I thought that they might switch it up, even if he only had like a 1 week reign, if he lost it on this week's Dynamite, I wouldn't care. But yeah, so I just think there was some missed opportunities in this match. Storytelling. I thought that Moxley was gonna like show up, knock on the door and bring Kingston's mom, to the event, put her in the car with him and we speak Spanish to her and shit. I thought that would have been fucking cool as shit. But yeah, Moxley is a good wrestler. They just haven't had too many good opponents for him to wrestle in, where I kind of want to see him probably drop this belt, and see what else could happen with somebody else, whoever it is. But they did what they had to do in this match, and I thought it was good. You know, excuse me, Eddie gets a chance to shine at a pay-per-view. He hasn't done that, you know, and God knows when. So to main event a pay-per-view, man, that's just love. And I think the fans of AEW are gonna hang in and keep watching AEW, see them build, because matches like this sometimes it's not like it was fucking Hulk Hogan and Brutus Beefcake when they were in WCW, you know, and they had it in a pay-per-view. Like this was love, and they were brutal. So, you know, the match was the match. So I thought this was fine, man. I give it 2 thumbs up.
All right,
I'm
Billy.
happy.
Tell the people, since we have hit the end, tell the people where they can find you and what you grade this pay-per-view.
Okay. What we doing? Numbers or alphabet? Or...
Let's go A to F. Fuck it.
Okay. I give this a B. This was good. This was a good pay-per-view. It was fun. You know, had a lot of good shit. It was a lot of predictability, but the way they got us there, I don't mind. You know, when you have 5 really good matches in the card, you know, I'm gonna give this a B. You know, nothing really like fucked it up. So yeah. Oh, and of course you can find me in Facebook, Jack Oil Trivia, and of course on YouTube, Jack Oil Trivia, and here with these guys on TMG Entertainment. Thank you, brother.
All right, Ryan, how about you?
Oh, you guys can definitely. Oh, I thought we lost him for a second. But you guys can find me here Thursday, Suplex City Chats, chatting with the boys, talking about everything, almost everything that's happened on wrestling from Friday to Thursday. You guys can also check my YouTube channel, Mount Schmodown. We have finally started actually recording live, so whenever you have questions in the chat, we're definitely going to be responding back to you guys. It's no longer pre-recorded, so just keep a lookout on Saturdays, 12:15 Pacific, 3:15 Eastern.
All right, JB3. Oh wait, Ryan, what are you grading this? Hold on, Ryan, what are you grading?
My bad. That's right. I mean, look, I normally this was an A show, but as I did say, the Hikaru Shida match, unfortunately, it did curve it down. So this would be more of like a strong B+.
That's what's up. All right, JB3.
Hey, you can find me, you know, Suplex City Chats, TMG Entertainment. You know, we do it over here. We talk about all the wrestling. You can also find me over at Nerd Entertainment Network. I run and own Combat Wrestling Trivia. And in fact, right now, this weekend, we got a big event, Survivor, taking place. It's pretty dope. In fact, the very first match of night 1, it includes the guy to my left, the Crusader. He is in that match, Metalweight Rules match. It's a contenders match. There's a lot of great MTC matches and CWT matches for that card. 3 nights. Tomorrow night, it's the big Triple Dead Trios Ultimate Survival match. Golly. But yeah, check us out. It's good times. We have fun. So yeah, thank you.
And what do you grade this pay-per-view?
Oh yeah, I forgot too. I'm with Villain, man. I got to give it a solid B. You know.
Alrighty. And hopefully Sean will be back with us anytime he wants. All he's got to do is let me know. We'll get him on the books. Sean, where can the people find you, and what did you grade this pay-per-view?
You guys always find me on Facebook under my name, Sean Wasserkrug. Also, you can catch my movie review show, Sean's Movie Crusades, on YouTube. Also, follow us on Twitter, Letterboxd, Instagram, all with either Sean's Movie Crusades or S Movie Crusades, depending on whatever. Let me write it down. But yeah, the pay-per-view itself, I'm gonna go with the rest of the group for the most part. I'm gonna give it a solid B. It had good, it had bad, and then it had solid throughout. I wish I could give it a higher grade than that. But it is definitely a solid B show. I definitely did not feel at the end of the pay-per-view that I wasted $50. I felt like out of a 9-match card, over 50% of the matches made me go, if each match was worth $10 a piece, I got my money's worth. So it's a solid B pay-per-view for me. Can't wait to see what they do with what is it, Revolution? Is that the next one?
Yep, February 27th.
Yeah, can't wait to see what they do next.
All right. Yep, and as always, you can find me here. I run this show Thursday nights. Saturdays we do After Dark. And then Sundays we do Movie Mania. It's our movie game show. I'm going to make it a consensus and go with a B. Everybody, Thanks for joining us, and don't forget, Too Sweet Gentlemen. You don't see it, but yep, the hands up.